The city of Chicago has removed two statues of Christopher Columbus. Mayor Lori Lightfoot directed the removals from both Grant Park and Little Italy. Her office later said the monuments were being taken down temporarily in order to protect them from protesters. In Worcester, Massachusetts, officials have voted not to remove a statue of Christopher Columbus that stands outside of a train station. The city council says keeping it is a sign of respect to the Italian community. The statue was erected more than 40 years ago. And we continue now our coverage tonight of attacks on Catholic churches and symbols across the U.S. as reports of vandalism rise. Joining me now on Skype to talk more about these crimes and what can be done to stop them is Andrea Picciotti-Bayer, National Catholic Register contributor and legal analyst. Andrea, welcome back to the show. Always great to see you.
Great, and thank you so much for having me on, Tracy.
Well, Andrea, this is all so very disturbing. Churches set on fire, statues being beheaded, graffiti, and some with satanic symbols. It certainly has the faithful on edge, and sadly, there doesn't seem to be an end to it.
I think you're right, and I think it's really important to remind everyone that vandalism and violence are never virtuous. And for as much as we've got to address issues of police misconduct and racial inequality, these kinds of responses definitely silence the important conversations that we need to be having as a country.
Definitely. And in some instances, as with the toppling of the statue of St. Junipero Serra, we've seen the perpetrators. However, in a lot of cases, we don't even know who's behind it. Aren't there laws on the book, Andrea, that speak to this kind of damage to religious property? And what are the punishments for those who are found guilty?
You're absolutely right, Tracy. There are local ordinances and state ordinances that prohibit the destruction of private property and arson. But when religious property and places of worship are specifically targeted, well, then federal law may be implicated. And there are federal laws criminalizing the intentional destruction of religious property when interstate commerce is involved or affected, as well as church arson is a federal offense. And there's also some civil laws that I'm really hoping that the leadership of the Attorney General will start looking at to get these perpetrators and stop them in their tracks before more destruction happens.
Yeah, what further action do you think that we can expect to see in regard to these cases? And in your opinion, do you think they should be investigated as hate crimes?
I absolutely do. I think that they're hate crimes against people of faith and are intended to intimidate. I was pleased, very much pleased, with the president's executive order at the end of June dealing with monuments, memorials, and including religious property and religious symbols in that order. I think that the Attorney General, as I mentioned before, has done great leadership in talking about the importance of faith and places of worship, even during this time of pandemic. I know that he's created a task force to look at this issue. And as a former civil rights attorney at the Department of Justice, I really hope that my colleagues there are going to look into the civil rights implications, both at the criminal and civil level, so that we can come together and that we can have a civil discourse over these issues and not be intimidated by people who just want to foment anarchy.
Andrea, has this ever happened before? I mean, have we seen churches set ablaze and vandalized in the past?
Well, yes, we have. And one of the reasons why there's a federal law directed towards church arson in the 90s, there were incredible attacks on Black churches where churches were set ablaze. We know that during the civil rights movement as well, that was a tactic being used to unsteady and prohibit a calm and careful dialogue on issues of racial inequality. And our history has always been one in which people of faith are attacked. This is where we need to be courageous, we need to be prudent, and at the same time, we need to know that the rule of law is there to protect our places of worship and our ability to exercise our faith freely and without any kind of intimidation.
Well, Andrea, thanks so much for coming on today, and thanks for your analysis. We always appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Tracy. Thank you.